Students, so last class we have seen about the inductive bias. Now what is inductive bias actually? We have seen inductive means what? Specific to general. Okay, specific to uh, general hypothesis. We derive some general hypothesis from the specific instances. Now, when we are dealing with the decision trees, normally a training data set will be given to us. In that, already some instances are there, some fixed instances are there. Okay, now these are what? These are specific instances. Means already some fixed data is there in each and every feature, and as well as what is output is also given. It can be either yes or no. Okay, so all these instances, the values at each and every instance, okay, the values or attributes are fixed. So these are called as specific instances. Now from these specific instances, we were trying to derive an hypothesis which is of general form. So this is called as an inductive bias. In inductive bias, what we do, from the specific instances, we derive some conclusions or some hypothesis in general. Why we do this one? So that whenever a new data, okay, new input is given, which is not matching with any one of this given training data, okay, the model should not get stuck. The model should show you some output, okay, some output in terms of yes or no. For that purpose, we are using this inductive bias technique. Now, what is this hypothesis space? Hypothesis space is how you are generating a conclusion from the given training data set, such that if any new input is given which is not matching with this training data set, then that for that new input data, you should derive some conclusion, or you should derive some target concept, or some targets should be generated for some new instance. Okay, new or unseen instance. We can say unseen. Unseen means what? Which is not matching with the given training data. Okay, so that is what is happening in inductive bias. Now, in order to generate this hypothesis space, normally we have seen yesterday in decision trees, decision tree is not built in one step. Okay, some hundreds and thousands of decision trees are generated. Okay, for generating each decision tree, entropy is calculated. After calculating entropy, information gain is calculated for each and every tree. Now, whichever tree is giving the highest information gain, that tree will be taken as our final decision tree, and remaining trees will be neglected. Now, when we are deriving this hypothesis space is generated for that only that final decision tree. Okay. It is hypothesis, or this capital H is not related to each and every generated tree at the background. Only for the finalized decision tree only this hypothesis space is generated. That means what? Here H is related to only some specific set of instances. Okay, only for some specific set of instances this hypothesis space is generated, so that it can generate some conclusion for a newly unseen data. And this decision tree uses ID3 algorithm. Okay, iterative Dicomyser algorithm. Now, this ID3 algorithm is a basic decision tree algorithm. Okay, there are a lot of decision tree algorithms. ID3 is the basic one. And ID3 also uses a search called as hill climbing search. Okay, in artificial intelligence, okay, if you have read, you will be having different types of searching techniques. Hill climbing, okay, steepest hill climbing, ridge hill climbing. Okay, a lot of searching techniques are available in order to find out the solution from root node to leaf node. Whenever you are finding the solution using a tree structure, we have these different types of searching mechanisms. Okay, so among these various searching mechanisms, ID3 uses this hill climbing search. Okay, that means it will be only in one direction. Okay, there is no backtracking. Okay, you can't go backside, and you can't again identify what can be the classification. Okay, it is in a one direction. That is ID3. That is related to hill climbing search. That is only from top to bottom. If you have chosen the left tree, you will be going towards the left tree only until the leaf node. You can't come back again to right node if you don't find any solution on the left node. Okay, and we use this hill climbing approach, okay, to calculate the information gain measure. How we are calculating the information gain measure? If you remember, once we build the decision tree, information gain measure is calculated with respect to the root node. Okay, entropy of root node minus summation of the entropy values of the remaining nodes. Okay, remaining subnodes. Okay, all this you have to subtract the entropy values of the remaining nodes from the root node value, and this is always done from top to bottom. So that is that is the way how we calculate the information gain. And the entropy value which we use in this information gain formula, that entropy value is calculated using this hill climbing search. That is always from top to bottom. Okay, you generate a node from root node, you generate another node. After generating that, immediately we will calculate the entropy. Again, we go to the right side, generate a node and calculate the entropy. So this is a hill climbing technique. That is, you are choosing only one node at a time. Okay, and in one direction only. And the instances, the result will also be calculated from root node to leaf node, no backtracking. And hypothesis space is generated. What is hypothesis space? Whatever instances you have considered for deriving this decision tree, for all those instances only hypothesis will be generated. See, whatever instances you are taking, okay, if you are finding out the solution, if you want to identify the classification for a newly given data, that newly given instance may follow only left to subtree or right subtree. So your hypothesis should give a proper indication to the newly instance, okay, to so as to follow which node and to generate the output. So that is our hypothesis space. Okay, so in more clear way, hypothesis space is, if suppose in the given in the given training data I have yes and no. Okay, and that means I have some positive instances and negative instances. Okay, when I calculate x1, x2, all these values are there, right? If I try to plot it on a graph, okay, I'll get some points like this. Some are negative instances, some are positive instances. So there will be a clear division of positive and negative instances. And if a new instance is given, okay, we will identify whether it is close to this section of the classification or towards this section. If this newly identified point is closer to the most of the positive instances, it is the result which it will show is a positive instance. Otherwise, we will say that the newly instance is producing the output as no. Okay, so this pointing all this training data on this particular graph, okay, and then making a clear division of all these things, this is called as hypothesis space or search space, we can say. This is hypothesis space, and this hypothesis space will tell that when a newly instance is given, okay, this is our newly instance. When this newly instance is given, based upon its attribute values, based upon its properties, it will say whether it belongs to positive instances or negative instances. So this is about the hypothesis space. And this is a way how we have the decision tree. Okay, it is just a pictorial representation of the decision tree, which is built using ID3 algorithm. Okay, so only one of the node will be, or one of the path will be chosen when a new instance is given, and it will show what is the result, whether it is positive or negative instance. And you get the tree once you generate this hypothesis space. And this is about ID3 capabilities and limitations. And ID3 hypothesis, okay, or ID3 algorithm will work only on discrete functions or on discrete values. Okay, it never works on a continuous values. Okay, normally continuous values will be given for regression models. Okay, regression model will take continuous models, like we have linear regression, logistic regression. Okay, multi-value regression, all those things, they work on continuous values. Okay, but classification will work only on discrete values. And there is no backtracking in this search. We can say that these are the rules we can say, or this we can also say that these are the limitations of ID3. Okay, so if the values, if the instances are discrete only, ID3 will generate a decision tree, otherwise it won't generate a decision tree. And there will be only one single hypothesis space. Okay, among the set of many trees, only one subtree will be, only one of the tree will be taken as a final decision tree, and only the hypothesis will be generated only for that particular tree. Okay, single hypothesis. So these are the 3 points related to the limitations or the rules to generate the decision tree. And ID3 uses all the training examples. Okay, if you have given 1000 training examples, it will uses all the 1000 training examples, irrespective of whether the data is cleaned data or not. Now, what do you mean by cleaned data, students? Clean data means what?
Without any noisy data, missing value, something like that.
Yeah, noisy data. Again, what is noisy data? In more simple words?
Missing values or duplicate values.
Yes. If there are any missing values, or the values in each and every column, or if they are not matching. Mute your devices, students. Like if in one column the values are in terms of 10 digits, okay, only two digits are there. In another column, the values contain with 5 digits or 6 digits. Then there is a huge gap between the two columns where classification will be very difficult to be done. So that is also a type of noisy data. That is not a clean data. You have to make all the columns of data to be uniform digits. Okay, everything should be in terms of 4 or 5 digits. So that type of scaling method also to be implemented to make the data as clean data. So that is where we apply the standard scalar method. Right. So it uses all the training examples, but it generates only one hypothesis. To generate hundreds and thousands of decision trees, and in order to finalize which is the appropriate decision tree, it calculates or it considers all the training examples. Then only it will be able to say accurately that which decision tree is appropriate. And why we go for this information gain or entropy is we get very accurate results when we apply this information gain or entropy. The tree is very less sensitive to errors. Okay, when we do it with the calculations, okay, instead of approximation, when we generate the decision tree based upon the some mathematical formulas, okay, based upon the resultant value, which is in terms of numerical digits, the tree will be a more efficient one. And ID3, okay, even if the data set is not proper, even if the data set is having some type of noisy data or unclean data, that can also be handled by using some simple techniques, okay, that we will see what are those. Okay, and then we will generate some hypothesis for that. Even the imperfect data set can also be accepted, can also be given to the decision tree. Okay, now, inductive bias in decision training. Now, just now we have discussed what is inductive bias. Inductive bias is in a given training data. Okay, suppose we have given some 1000 instances. All those 1000 instances will have some specific values for each and every attribute. Okay, some or the other value will be there. So those are considered as specific data. Okay, specific data. You never give any attribute with question mark. Definitely you will give some type of value there. Okay, you can't give more than one value for each attribute. Okay, you will give some specific value at each and every instance. So that is specific. So from the specific instances, we generate a decision tree, and for which we need to generate a hypothesis. How do you generate a hypothesis? Based upon the specific instances, based upon the hypothesis which is generated for each and every specific instance, we will combine them. Okay, and once we finalize our appropriate decision tree, okay, that is which feature should be the root node, which feature should be the leaf node, okay, based upon the entropy value and based upon the information gain, once we finalize the decision tree, then at that moment we will calculate the hypothesis space. Now what is this hypothesis space? What it will do? It will help us to identify whenever a new unexpected input means which is not matching with the training data. Okay, it is also called as unseen input. When such unseen input is given, we will be able to identify the output when we write the hypothesis in general only. It should be in general, it should not be in specific again. Okay, now what is inductive bias? Inductive bias is where you generate a hypothesis from specific inputs. Okay, generate a hypothesis in the form of a generalized one, so that any new input can be accepted. So that is our inductive bias. So that is why we are using this technique, so that any type of input can be handled by the model, so that classification can be done properly. Okay, so normally we describe this inductive bias for this ID3 algorithm, and all the consistent data will be taken. Only consistent data will be taken, okay, which is present in this training data. If this is our original training data D, that means consistent means what? At the last, okay, it should give some target. Either it should be yes or no. If it is left blank, that is not consistent data. Such type of data should be removed from the training data. Okay, for which we can also take the help of the version spaces. The algorithm of version space also we can take, which will filter this original training data, and it will extract only the consistent data from the given training data. Okay, so it is not related to, so version space is actually related to the candidate elimination algorithm. If required, we can also use that concept in decision tree. Is this clear now, students? Up to this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we have discussed about hill climbing search. Okay, we are discussing about the how we are generating the tree. Now among the lot of trees, okay, if suppose in case there are two trees which are showing the same type of information gain value. Okay, now there will be ambiguity. Now, so as to take which type of tree. Okay, so when the data set is going on increasing, definitely the number of trees will go on increase, and definitely you will, when the number of trees will increase at some situations, the information gain will be repeated, and there will be an ambiguity for the model, so as to choose which decision tree as a final one. In that cases, what ID3 algorithm chooses is, it chooses always the shorter trees in the sense the length of the tree should be short. Okay, if you see this one, see here, what is the length of this decision tree? This is 1. Okay, from root node to the next node, there is only 1 length. If you consider this one, the length of the tree is 2. Now, even though the information gain of these two trees are same, this first decision tree will be taken as our solution. ID3 will always consider the trees which are very simple, which are having the shorter length. Only those trees will be considered as the solution. Why like this? Because it will be easy for us, for the model, okay, to present the solution. It will take very less time to present the solution when shorter trees are taken. Okay, solution will be extracted in a very less time, and it will be very simple. Okay, the trees, okay, the information gain trees will be taken for those trees which are closer to the root. Okay, all the nodes which are closer to the root. Here, these two nodes are closer to the root, whereas here, one of the node is closer, the other one is not closer. Okay, but here, the both sub nodes are both closer to the root. So first tree will be selected as our solution. Then next one is restriction biases and preference biases. Now this is related, whenever we talk about the term bias, bias means it is related to the inputs which we are taking, okay, or the instances which are present in the training data. Now when you are taking ID3, see ID3 it always takes the total data set, okay, total data set as the training examples. Now when you are considering the total data set for generating the tree, you can give some preferences, okay, you can pose some restrictions on the instances, okay. If suppose 1 to 100 training instances are there, in that with which instances you want to start, okay, with which instances you want to build the tree first, build the first root node, okay, you can select in that way. So for that we are having two types of features. One is preference bias, another one is restriction bias. A restriction bias is where you select only few instances for a generating, okay, or for selection of particular nodes. It can be either root node, intermediate node, or leaf node, okay, which instances you want to select, okay, you are giving some restriction, okay, so as to allow only these instances for the selection of the next node. That is restriction bias. Then preference bias is what? In that restriction also, after performing the restriction also, again in that restriction, suppose if I want to select a root node is selected, if I want to select the left node of this, okay, so here 100 instances are taken, here I am taking only 70 instances for the left node, selection of left node. So this is done by using restriction bias. After selecting these 70 instances to the left node, again in this I want to give some preferences, okay, like the first feature should be so and so only, so that only those instances should be assigned to the left node, okay. I may fix the value for the attribute value of the first attribute value I want to fix, okay, I can fix that one, like sport, enjoy sport data set is there, okay, I may fix the, like the first attribute should be sunny only. Here there are three types of values for the first attribute, okay, sunny, rainy, and warm is there. In that I want to take only the instances which are starting with sunny only, so that will become our preference. Preference will happen when already some restriction is there on the particular instance. After restriction only you can apply these preferences. Okay, restriction is you are restricting the number of instances. Preference is what? In that restricted instances, based upon what attribute value you want to take, that is our preference. Is this clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these two techniques we can also use, we can also incorporate these things, but these two are optional. Okay, if the data set is very large, we go for this type of
Yes, ma'am.
restrictions. Okay, if the data set is large, if you again go on incorporating the restriction bias and preference bias, if you still reduce the number of instances for the left and right child, then the data will not be sufficient to generate the training data. So this must be applied only when the data set is very large. Okay, and this is just a comparison of the candidate elimination algorithm. Now in candidate elimination algorithm, we don't use any type of bias here. Okay, here we try to understand the bias of the decision tree in comparison with the candidate elimination algorithm. Okay, so these two are used for decision trees, whereas in candidate elimination algorithm, okay, we normally don't use any type of bias. Now ID3 here, ID3, the decision tree, it uses a search strategy, that is hill climbing strategy. And in search strategy, when you move from root node to leaf node, you always choose only one path. That is called as search strategy. That means you are not covering all the nodes, all the instances when you are giving a new training data. That is search strategy. Whereas in candidate elimination algorithm, we use search space. Now this is not search strategy, it is search space. Search space means what? All instances are checked whenever a new instance is given. Okay, here only few instances are checked because we are traveling only through one path, either left node or right node. Whereas in candidate elimination algorithm, whenever a new instance is given, to predict the output value of that, we have to check that one with the already existing instances, with all the existing instances. So that is called a search space. So whenever there is a term space means all the instances are included. Okay, hypothesis space or search space means all the instances are included. And ID3, it uses a preference space. It can be implemented with preference bias or restriction bias, okay, which are optional. And candidate elimination algorithm, it uses categorical restriction or restriction bias on total data set, okay, or on total instances. Normally, preference bias is implemented for decision trees and restriction bias is implemented for candidate elimination algorithm. Okay, so this is a general scenario. And so this is about the short hypothesis. So just now we have discussed that the decision tree, which decision tree is preferred when information gain is equal for both the decision trees, students? When two decision trees are having the same value of information gain, which tree will be preferred? Students? The decision tree with the shortest path, with the shortest length will be preferred. So that is given by this person, okay, called as, okay, William. He has suggested, okay, he has proved that the decision tree, okay, which is of shorter length, that will provide more efficient result in a very less time. Okay, and that is also called as it is that particular principle is named as Occam's razor. Occam's razor means what? It says that if the two trees are having the same information gain value, then choose the tree which is having the shortest length. That is called as Occam's razor. And what is the so when you choose the tree of shortest length, normally we generate a very short hypothesis through which we can generate the solution. We can generate a very simple solution in a very less amount of time. Okay, so it was proved by this William that the solution is generated in a very simple manner and in a very less time. Dear students,
Ma'am, small doubt. So is this hypothesis space and the search space both are same or different?
see, hypothesis both are different.
Different.
Why? Because search space means I'm considering all the instances of the given training data. That is our search space. Okay, hypothesis space means which instances you are considering for generating the model. See, if 1,000 instances are there, you may apply some preference bias or restriction bias. You can select only few instances, okay, and you generate some model. For this, you will generate some hypothesis space. Okay, you will generate some hypothesis or some conclusion. Hypothesis space is for what instance, which instances you are covering. Based upon that instances qualities, based upon the instances features, you are generating some statements or some conclusion. Hypothesis does not bother that how many instances you are taking. Okay, it bothers about whether it is generating some conclusions or some property or not. Okay, search space means total all instances.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, it is just search space means you are just pointing out that instances on a graph. You are not generating any conclusions there in search space. You are just showing that how many inputs are there in the particular training data.
Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Then next one is, these are some alternative measures. See, in entropy, when you apply the ID3 algorithm, automatically ID3 will generate the entropy values. It will automatically identify which attribute is better. Okay, which attribute is better, at which attribute we should split the tree. Okay, which attribute should be considered as a root node or leaf node or intermediate node. All that will be automatically done by ID3. We need not do anything. But here there are some other measures through which the attributes can be selected, at which attribute a particular split has to be taken. Okay, that means from that attribute, which attribute is better to generate the children nodes, from which attribute we can generate a particular children node. Okay, that is called as a splitting the particular attribute. Okay, or whether that attribute can be used as one of the parent node to generate other children nodes, or whether it can be used as a leaf node. Which that particular attribute is suitable for which type of node, that can be identified. So there are some alternative measures. These are additional measures by which you can select the attributes. Okay, or you can determine which attribute is better for intermediate node or root node or leaf node. And this is given by Pinlan. One such thing is split information. Okay, information gain and entropy is one technique. Second technique is split information. Now, how do you calculate the split information? Like entropy and information gain, here also there are some formulas which you have to apply. Okay, so this split information has to be calculated for each and every attribute separately. Now, what is attribute, ma? What is the difference between attribute and instances, students?
Attribute means single unit. Instance means the complete row of
yes.
attributes.
So, yes, so attribute are columns. Okay, the features. Now, each feature we can calculate the split information. Okay, whichever attribute is giving the highest split information value, that will be considered, that will be given the higher preference. Okay, that will be taken as a root node. Okay, the next level, next node will be taken as a left node, next node will be taken as a right node. Okay, in this sequence, depending upon this value, whichever is generating the highest value, that will be given the highest preference in the decision tree. So this is one formula. And now this is what S is for the subset of examples results from the partition S, that is how many samples you are taking for this first attribute. Okay, how many samples are there which are clean data, okay, with no null values, with no empty values. How many samples you want to take, okay, from this for the first attribute, that is Si. Capital S is what? A total number of samples for that particular attribute. and we apply this log formula. So likewise, we apply this formula for each and every attribute, and we try to find out what is the value. Okay, and once you get the split information, we are going to apply this in this formula where gain ratio is there. Gain is what? That is the information gain of this. Okay, that we take in the numerator, and then the split information and each and every attribute is calculated and it is placed in the denominator, and through which we get this gain ratio. Now, whichever attribute is showing the higher gain ratio, that will be considered, or that will be given the higher priority to generate the decision tree. Instead of entropy and information gain, we can also use this formula. Is this clear, students?
Yes, ma'am. For this here, gain means again information gain, right?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. For gain, we need to again calculate entropy, right?
Yes, entropy has to be calculated. Okay, after doing those two, that means this is an additional step over here. This is an additional step. Okay, directly after two steps, after entropy and information gain, instead of going for the decision tree, we will do one more additional step, that is split information, and then after this third step, we can generate the decision tree. So that completes another technique of generating the decision tree. Now, the next one is how to handle the training examples, how to handle the missing data in the attribute value or in the columns. Okay, so we have already seen some techniques. If you remember how to handle the NaN values, normally any missing values in the data will be represented by this word NaN. NaN means some empty cells or null values. Can you say what are the measures? You already know this. We have done in the.
We can use imputer. Either you can find out mean, median values.
Yes.
Or one more row elimination also there.
Row elimination. Okay, good. Okay. So one is. Okay, so we can go for. Yeah, one thing is eliminate. That is delete a particular row completely, which are having this particular NaN value, and this we should do when there is a lot of training data. When high training data is there, we can go for this option. When training data itself is very less, we can't delete any row. Okay, we can't minimize our training data. Okay. And second one is we can go for mean value, mod value, or median. Now, what is the difference between these three, students? Mean, mode, and median.
Mean is an average value.
Yes.
For example, in the marks, number of marks, then we will calculate the mean value.
Yes,
and mode we will take the middle value.
Median we will take the middle value. Mode. Mode means most repeated value. Okay, how can you remember? MO. MO means most repeated value. Okay, so median means what? If there are some in a particular column, okay, suppose there are 5 elements, middle one is 5. Okay, you normally replace the middle value. Okay, arrange the elements in ascending order, take the middle value, and you can assign it at the place of none value. If there are 6 numbers, then how to take the middle value? We will take average of the middle value then. If the number is odd numbers, if the number of elements are odd, we will take the middle element. If the total number of elements in that particular column are even, then we will take the summation of the middle 2 elements. Okay, we will do average of these two, and then whatever value we get, that we will replace in NaN value. So there are two techniques in median. And when coming to the mode, okay, if suppose in that particular column 3 is repeated lot of times, then 3 will be replaced. Okay, 3 will be placed in the place of nan value. Okay, so these are the different techniques to handle the missing values or nan values. Same thing is discussed in the slides. And so the next slide is about how to choose the attributes. Okay, so one technique we have seen, entropy method, choosing the attributes. Now this is another method, that is assigning some cost to the attributes, okay, to the features. Feature 1 is there, feature 2 is there, feature 3, okay, the labels of that particular column. For each of this feature, okay, some cost will be assigned, some value will be assigned. So based upon that value also, preference will be given so as to consider which feature as a root node or intermediate node, okay, or as a leaf node. Some values can be assigned, and once you assign the values, those values will be applied to this formula. Okay, now this is also one type of information gain calculation. Like entropy, this is also another type of information gain calculation. Okay, we calculate the gain of each and every attribute, information gain of each and every attribute, and then divide it by cost of that particular attribute. What is this cost? This cost will be given when you take the training data. Okay, what is the cost of each and every attribute? That information will also be present in that particular training data. Okay, we need to just apply that in this formula. Okay, so in this way also we can choose the features. Okay, we can give priorities to the features. And another type of formula which you can assign for the preference of the attribute is the second formula. Okay, this is also it will also take the values of gain, information gain, and as well as the cost values of each and every attribute. Now this formula is given by Nunez, and this formula is mainly used only for medical diagnosis problems. Only for medical field only this formula will work good. Okay, and W is some constant value, okay, which can be in between the range 0 to 1. Okay, closed interval 0 to 1, that is including 0 and 1. Okay, it is a constant value which can be taken to apply to this particular formula. Okay, so we don't use all these formulas. Normally go with the entropy and information gain. Okay, these are some additional techniques. Any doubts, students?